Hey guys, welcome back. This is George, and in this video we're going to be creating a canned digital asset in Houdini where we can use it for our product renders, for morph animations and different things like that. You're going to have control over the shape, the size with just simple sliders and be able to use it in your future projects from here on. Alright, let's take a look at the video and see how it's done. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open up PureRef and import our profile image and have our reference here. So this is a really cool program where we can use it as a guide to use references and different things for our 3D models. So we'll open up Houdini. And right now, this is kind of over it. What we can do is right click on PureRef, and then we can go into, let's see, there's an overlay mode somewhere here, Control Y. So click OK. And now we got this overlay mode, and we can move this over here. This will be like a reference we can show later. And so this doesn't get selected while we're in our view. We can just, well, first of all, we're gonna want this image to be a little bit more transparent. So we're gonna go to settings, go into appearance, and then we're gonna go to application opacity. We're gonna lower that down. Close that out, and I'll put my image here and then press Control T. So then now I can select the background. So in Houdini, we're going to press spacebar B and then select with B, and we'll have our view here. So the next thing we'll do is go into our objects here, object context, and create a geometry. Create the geometry, call it can, and in here we're gonna start with curves. So the first thing we're gonna do is pretty much just create a curve where we're gonna trace the can with our curve, and then what we're gonna do is set specific groups where we can tweak different points within our curve. Then after that, we're gonna revolve it, create a cylinder out of the profile curve. And then we're going to set some controls so then we can have sliders and things like that to modify our can. And then lastly, we'll create the actual top part of the can where you pull the pin or whatever, where you open it up. And we're going to create a hole that also connects to that. So then when you open it, both things, it bends and it opens, and you have different functionality there. All right, so we'll create our curve. And then we'll put it right as close to the center as possible here. We'll do our first click here. Hold shift to snap. Get these 45-degree angles here. Click here, click there, click there, click here, click there. Then press enter. So we have our profile there. And now we really don't need PureRef at this point. So we can move these out of the way. All right, let's close out PureRef, save it. That's fine. So now we have the basic curve. This is the basic curve that's going to create our profile. All right, this is the basic curve that we're going to use to revolve it and then create the different things. So the next thing we want to do is I want to be able to modify the height of it. So to modify the height, let's go into our points. So in this case, we're going to be grouping these because we just want to shift all of these points up and down. So when we select these, we'll hit tab to create a group. And this would be our height group, right? So we got middle mouse click, we have group, height group 9. So we're using the group name $OS. So it'll be the name that we put for the node. All right, and then the next group, we want to tweak how thick the can is. So then we'll group these points here because we're going to be moving them left to right. And then we'll click on group and we'll put thick body thickness, I guess. That can be a name for it. And so you see what I'm talking about. We're going to create some transforms. So the first transform is going to be for the height. Then we'll go to group, select height. And now if I go up and down, you can see that this is what we're going to be tweaking there. So we want all of our groups to be selected first. And then at the end, we're going to be doing the transforms for all of these different operations here. So we'll duplicate this. We'll call this body thickness trans. We'll remove this one from the group, and in there we'll select the body thickness. So we'll zero this out and we'll zero this out. So now in this case, we'll move Z, and you see how that correlates to that. Perfect. This is like the top of the can right here. This is like the lip area. Here are some of the sides. Another thing we can do maybe is create a lip height. So we'll move this part right here and we'll select the group. Lip height. And remember, let's put them all before any of the transforms. All right. This is just so we stay organized and we keep everything in the correct order. Now we got our lip height trans, and then we'll select the lip here. So now if we move it up and down, you can see what's happening there. Perfect. And then the other thing I may want to do here is move this part. I'm not sure what to call it. Let's see. Group. We can call this maybe top cap, maybe something like that. Then the other thing I may want to do, so we got top cap, and then we'll create a transform for top cap and select our top cap here. If we move this on Z, we could see what it's doing there. Another thing is that we may want to bevel that area as well. So if we do the body thickness, you can see it's moving the entire piece, but it's not moving these kind of indentations here. So we want to use this and be able to bring them in. That way we can create our kind of energy drink type of bevel on it. So we can go into those 2 points here. We'll group them in. And we can just move this back here and call this shaping. So if we grab our shaping transform, then we can grab our group, erase this one, shaping. And now if we move this, you can see we get that flattening in there. All right. And just so, we could see it in 3D view. In the 3D view, we can just add a revolve right now so we can see this effect. All right. And then press spacebar B. Spacebar B. Okay. And then revolve, we'll add maybe 30. Let's do 40. And you can see that our can is taking shape. So if we look at our shaping here, we can see what we're doing with it there. Perfect. So I want to add a little bit more control on this bevel here. I want to be able to move it up and down, and the same thing with the bottom one. So this is all about creating a bunch of groups that then we can select through transforms to modify them. And then in the end, what we're going to do is set limits to these transforms. So when we have the sliders, everything will work together and hopefully we don't get too much geometry breaking apart. So let's keep moving forward. And what we'll do, we'll go back to the curve here, spacebar B, and then we'll create the top one here. We'll create a group for that. We'll call it, here's our group. We'll call it move top. and then move bottom. We'll select here, go into our base. We have 0.8 and we'll just want to grab it here and select this one, press enter. We'll select this cursor here, select the point we want, press enter. The next thing we may want to do here is create more of an indent on this lip here. So we'll grab the points here, these two, create a group, and we'll call it lip thickness. Perfect. And we'll color these, that, and then these in blue so we can see it better. Let's save our project. All right, so the last couple that we have made has been for the shaping. So shaping, we're still missing these three. Let's create a transform. All right, so we move top. That's where we left off in. Move top. Create two more transforms. Move top, this one will be move bottom, and then this one will be lip thickness. Move top, trans, move bottom, lip thickness, trans. All right, color them blue, and we have move top, move bottom, lip thickness. So lip thickness, we could see, we can get that thickness, right? We're going to be moving the top, move bottom. Perfect. We may want to do maybe a couple bevels, maybe some bevels here and some bevels here. So we'll do like a group for small bevels, and then we'll do a group for larger bevels. So the smaller bevels are obviously going to be here on the top and possibly here at the bottom. Obviously, we could separate them as much as we want, but for the cases of this tutorial, we'll just keep it simple. So we'll select our points here, our points here. We'll create a group and let's make sure that it's up here, and we'll call it lip bevels. All right, and then the next one is going to be down here, and we'll create a group and call that base bevels. Then the other thing we want is this one to move it towards the center. Actually, these two, either move them up or down. So we'll go and grab this and call it group and call this base center. We're going to go all the way to the top to profile curve here, select our 2 points, and we're going to get the scale tool. So we'll go up to our profile curve and middle mouse click. We'll try to bring it in the middle. All right, we'll bring that there. So we'll grab these 2 points here and we'll create another group, and that would be our center group. That way, when we go and create a transform, call it center trans, and we'll create let's remove our group here and center our center group there. When we see our revolve, we kind of see this opening here, and we can grab our center and then just close it out. All right. So this is pretty much our profile curve and our transforms, but we want to make sure that we have bevels for this stuff too. So we'll create a bevel. We'll create a poly bevel, and in here we'll select, instead of selecting points here, we'll get our lip bevels, and in here we can see we're getting this bevel here. We can add some subdivisions. All right. We'll add another poly bevel. Another bevel. And we're going to use the top part. So that was, I think it was move top. It was called move top. Oh, make sure you got points selected. So there you go. So the poly bevel here, we got points, and in here, we got to make sure we have points selected. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. So we'll go back into our revolve, and we can see what this effect is doing. We'll add some bevels here, and then we kind of get that nice roundness on there. Perfect. We're going to add another bevel, and in that one, we're going to do the bottom. Move bottom. Now we got the bottom in there. We're going to do another bevel, and we'll do, what do we call it? Base bevels. Okay. We'll lower the amount here. So you could kind of see that it's taking shape. Our can is taking shape, and we can see the different things. So we want some bevels as well here, and we may want some on the revolve as well. So for the revolve, we could put maybe 90. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's create another bevel here. Let's keep things organized. Like I said, we don't want to be mixing procedures too much. All right, so we'll grab that there. Oh, and by the way, actually, we may want to do the bevels after the fact because we're adding more geometry. So the moment we start adding geometry, things can get a little clunky. So I want to just make sure that our groups are still intact and things like that. So let's move all of our bevels towards the end. Okay, so that way our initial points without extra bevels, points are not affected. Perfect. So let's see. Then, all right, so we got, okay, so we need the bevel for the top. So this is a new bevel, and then I think we call that center. Make sure we are on points. And I don't know if that was center. Let's see. Let's see which one it is. I think it's top cap. Yeah, top cap. So we can see the blue here, and then we're adding a couple points in there. So when we revolve, we can see that happening. So you can see. Perfecto. And then let's see. Yeah, so this is pretty much our can shape. It's pretty simple. So here's our main thing. And there might be a point where we want to do a bend on this. So what I'll do after the fact is create a divide. It's not going to be the best geometry in the world, but I just don't want to mess up certain things. So we'll get a divide node and then remove convex polygons, and then we'll add Bricker polygons. And in here, we're going to do a 0.2 or 0.1, 0.05. And now we can get that extra geometry we need to do our bend. So now if we do a bend, do our bend. So we get our bend, go to our capture, set capture region, and then select here, from here to here. And now we can do our squishy bend or twisting, you know. There's also tapering. You got all those functions now that you have the divide. So this is like a process after the fact for deforming. So, but we'll worry about that later. At this point, what we want to do is select some groups so we can have groups for the top and for the bottom and for the middle. So now what we're going to do is create some groups so we can create our textures on. So if we look at our stuff right here, looks pretty cool, looks pretty good. And at this point, we don't really want to modify any geometry. We want to leave the geometry how it is right now. So right now, we just want to create some groups for our textures. So we may want to do a texture for maybe the middle and the top and the bottom. So let's do that real quick. Let's switch our view here, and we're going to select some polygons. or primitives, I should say. So here we have the top selected. Let's make sure that nothing else is selected. So if something else is selected, just hold Control. It deselects it, and still hold Alt. So we have a couple of things here that we may want to do. So for that, to spread the selection, you press Shift and G, and then you can get your selection here. So we're going to go all the way around so we can select the lip. Look under here. All right, so this will be the top. We'll group that and call it top group. All right, and then the next one is going to be the middle group. So let's make sure we got this middle group, maybe up to then we'll call this mid group. And we'll select the bottoms here. Group, call this group bottom group. And then one last one will be like a full group. Shift G. And then we'll call this full group. Full group. Perfect. So now if we have our deforming here, we have our band or whatever. Now if we do a color, it's like full group. We have the full group, bottom group, got the bottom group there, we got the mid group and top group. Perfect. Now what we want to do is split this geometry. Let's do the bend. Oops. Let's remove the bend and the color. And what we want to do is split this geometry so we can do our procedures for the cap. And also to just kind of simplify the process of selecting different primitive groups. Because technically right here we have primitive groups. So we have a good amount of primitive groups. So now we have our primitive groups. We got the note here to let us know that we're deforming, and then the divide that's going to add the extra geometry. So let's add some textures just temporarily to see what it looks like. So we could do a material quick shade. So we'll get quick shade. All right. And then in Canva, I created a label real quick that I was able to get from. So I got this label. It doesn't look like it's placed correctly. So what we want to do is before the quick shade is create our UV texture. And for our UV texture, we're going to select cylindrical, and we're going to select our group that is called mid group, and then we'll -1 on X. And then for attaching the texture to the group, we'll just do mid group as well. And there you go. We have our texture. Perfect. Everything's good. Now, the next thing I want to do is create basically the HDA for this. So what we're going to do first is select all of these. We'll create a subnet right here. Click on that little box, creates a subnet, and then we're going to right click, create digital asset, call it can. And then I'll put it under the subnet main, and I'll create it under, let's see. So I have my own tools here, but I'll put it under JL and then create. So now it creates the digital asset for us. And now what we got to do is just start linking some of those parameters. And if you're wondering what interface this is, I just went up here and selected games. And what this does is basically adds these 4 panes here, and they're linked. So we have the parameters and our network in 2 different spots. So what I want to do is go into our, so this is our can asset here. And then in here is all the different features that we want. All right, so we're going to start linking all of the parameters we want to tweak. So we'll start by organizing some of the folders. So we're going to want a folder that's for shaping things, for bevels, and maybe some added other feature, opening caps and things like that. All right, so let's go in here. And the thing is too, is we're going to modify this HDA a couple times. We're going to go back and forth and kind of tweak things until we get it to how we want it. So in here, we'll put shaping, and it's going to be shaping here. And then this folder here is going to be called bevels. And then this one could be open cap. So we got all of our tabs here. We don't want tabs. We may want like, we want them all in the same spot. So we can do simple. Let's see what that one looks like. So there's nothing there yet. So let's add a couple floats here. So we'll do a float here, and we'll call this height. It's just to see what it looks like. So it looks like it's showing up like this. Okay, perfect. So for height, I want to go to our transform here that says height transform. And what we're going to do is grab here. We'll grab here copy parameter, and then right here we'll put paste relative reference. So now we can get this effect going on, right? So we want to go into the negative values. So in here in our height, we're going to put range, and we're going to do like -1. Click apply and see how far we need to go. Maybe it's this number here. And then as far as height, I don't know, maybe this is too high. Maybe something like that, 0.45. So now what we have is this limit here that we set for our geometry. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the different sections. So we'll do a couple more, and then I guess we can just skip through, because this is like a tedious process. So if we go into our body thickness here, we remember that we were tweaking Z. So we got Z in here. Perfect. So we'll get a float, drag that float in there, and type in body thickness. We want a range, and then the range is from 0 or possibly maybe something like that. Copy that in there, and then the most that we may want it, maybe something like that, -0.2. Copy that as the top limit. Actually, we'll do it this way, and then we'll put 0.96. I think that was it. Let's see. So we'll copy parameter right here, paste relative reference. So this is a little too crazy. Let's do 0, and then we'll do 0.96. We'll do 0, and then we'll do -0.96. Let's see. What happened here? Or did it go invisible? I think I might have clicked on invisible. Let's see, show visible. Yeah, invisible. Yeah, sometimes that happens and it just disappears. So let's go back here, click apply. All right, perfect. So we may want the limit to be 0.1, 0.1, and then something like that maybe. The other one's way too exaggerated. Perfect. So now I can go boom, boom, boom. So somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot. And then here we got height. Next one is the lip height. So it's the lip height on here. Cool. So do another float. Lip height, lip height. Perfect. Apply, copy parameter, paste relative references. So we'll set the limit here and then push the limit. Like something like this would be too crazy, but okay. So we got lip height there. Let's save this out. The next one is going to be transformed shaping. So this is what makes it kind of like an energy drink type thing. So we'll add in here body shaping, and we'll go from this amount to maybe this amount here. Apply, accept, and then copy parameter, paste relative reference. Now we got this going on. Got this here, got our bevel, we got our height. All right, so let's do some shaping here. All right, so let's go back into type properties. We did shaping, now we move top. So this is, we could call it shape top, paste relative reference. All right, something like this. Put it in the range of the minimum and then maximum right here. I just want to be able to create like different variety of shapes just off of one setup. You could see that that's the deal. So if we put 0, obviously that's no effect, but that's where we may want to do our settings. At the end, we'll do how to change the defaults, and that's just by going in here into channels, and then your default, that's going to be your when you open up the HDA, that's going to be the setting that's going to use. Okay, apply, perfect. So now we're going to move the bottom. We'll do the same thing here again. We'll do shape bottom, add a range, click apply, copy parameter, paste relative references. Okay. And now we can do the same. So whatever setting we have up here, we can copy that, paste it there, copy that. Wait, where did I paste it? Let's save this out. And then the other thing too, to save the HDA, what you do is save node type and then match current definition. So it locks it in there. So we'll allow editing contents. We open it back up and then we can continue. So lip thickness is the other one. So let's add another float and we'll put lip thickness. Add some range in here, 0.01 maybe, and then apply, copy parameter, paste relative references, and actually we're going to do negative 0.01. So we'll see what this looks like. Okay, cool. So we got that going. All right. So the lip stuff, let's add it, lip thickness, body thickness. All right, so body shaping, shape top, bottom, and then height. These are organized by, I guess, parameters that you may want to tweak. So the height, the thickness, then the shaping, the top and the bottom, the lip height, and the lip. Perfect. All right, and then the last one for the transforms is going to be this one, I think, here. Oh, okay, this is for opening and closing it. So yeah, so we'll do So revolve opening, I guess. Revolve tweak. And then we'll put 0.0016. Apply. Copy parameter. Paste relative references. And then now we have this kind of tweaking in here. Yeah, so we went from like 0 where initially it was, and then we locked it in. So if we go into here, we can go and name this energy. That font I don't like. We'll do energy there. Okay, so then, well, now what we do is go into download PNG. All right, and then we'll go into let's go back into here. I don't want to see that texture no more. Let's update that. Juice 2. Boom. The new energy drink. Perfect. Okay, we quickly changed the label. So we did revolve, top cap, bottom trans, lip thickness, center trans, and now we're into the bevels. So let's get into the bevels. And this one is going to be a little bit easier because we already have the parameters we want to tweak. What we're going to do is just drag them in here. So we're going to grab the first bevel, which is going to be our lip bevels. We're going to get the move top bevel. We're going to get the move bottom bevel. We're going to get the base bevels, top cap, and then let's apply those. Perfect. So now we're going to be able to change them a little bit. So this is going to be the top bevel. We'll just name it top. This is going to be bottom, base, top cap, and lip. So we're going to add 0.01 on here. So here we go, body shaping. Okay, so body shaping is going to be the most is 0.111. So now we got this. Perfect. And then the bottom, we could do the same 0.111. Apply. Perfect. All right. And then the base bevel, that's the most, I think. So 0.61. Apply. Okay, see. So we're going to tweak it. Oh, and then this part with the label, we just go into our UV and fix boundary seam. And that changes that there. Perfect. So let's go back in here, put save node type, match current definitions, allow editing of contents, and we're back. So there's something here that we may want to add. We may want to add another parameter where we are actually shrinking this section here in here, right? So we'll do 2. Perfect. Oh, you know what I could do instead? I'll get the move down and actually create another slider. So we already have the group. We're just going to create another slider in here. Body shape bottom. So we'll do a move bottom, apply that, copy parameter, and then we'll add a transform. We'll add a transform in here, and we'll add a, so our group is called move bottom, and that would be on our height. So let's go in here, copy parameter, paste relative references. So we'll go from 0 to negative 0.5 maybe. We'll add copy here, apply, and see what that looks like. So if we go back to our revolve, go in here. All right. And then we want to do the same thing to the top as well. So move bottom, we can add those little tweaks there. Yep, that's pretty good. And then let's go back to that transform there. And then instead, we're going to delete this 0. And instead of move bottom, it's going to be, I think it's move top, move top. And then we have move bottom. Let's add move top. Copy parameter, paste relative references. Okay. Okay, so the top is 0.09. Let's add that limit in there. And now we have this going on. So we'll do the same thing again. Click here, save node type, match current definitions, allow editing of contents. And we got our energy drink set up here. So you can see how this becomes really useful once you start creating different types of cans and things like that. So we got this whole thing going on. It's pretty cool, I think. So if you don't want the top to be top heavy like that, you can just get into, put it like this, and then do the bottom. And then the bottom, we may need to move the top, something like that. And you could do the bottom bevel it a little bit. Cool. And then if we add the deformation, let's see, it was in this one here. So we had divide and bend. So if we go in here, go inside here and add our divide and bend. There you go. Perfect. So we don't need to add that divide and bend for the HDA. It's just to show. So you can add it on the outside as well. So it's the same thing. Cool. So the only thing that's missing is the top part. So once we have the top part ready, our can digital asset is practically done. All right, so I think we're ready to put the top part of the can where the opening is. So let's jump on back to the very beginning. And what we're gonna wanna do is grab the first point that we created. So if we go in here, and we grab our point, let's see. Let's select right here, point, create a group. So the way we want to do this one is grab the point after the transforms. Because if we move the object up and down, we want our point to follow as well. What we're going to do is go before our revolve in here. And we're going to grab the point here, put a group, and call this point. Perfect. Now what we want to do is create a shape. So we'll create a box that we're going to use to Boolean our object. And instead of doing it like this, we're going to do a copy to points. So we're going to go copy to points, hold Y to disconnect. So if you hold Y, you see little cutting scissors. You just go over the wire while holding Y and it cuts it. So we're going to grab that point. Target group is the point, and then copy right there. So if we take a look at what it looks like with the revolve, we can see that that object is now copied into that point we grouped. So if we move the height, you can see that it follows like so. And then the other thing we want to do is actually use a size match. And we're going to push our object towards one side. So we could do like minimum. And then we can transform this and it'll stay in that spot. So what we want to do to this object is bevel the edges. So if we go in here, go into our edges, and then bevel. We could bevel the edges like so, and then we can maybe make the sides a little bit thicker like that. So now if we go up, we can see that the can has like some sort of opening there, maybe something like this. So we created the point there. Now what we want to do after our quick shade is blast this top part. So we'll go to blast, and then we'll select the group, top group, and then delete non-selected. Now we just have the top. We'll create another one, and we'll have the invert, which is the opposite of that. So we can merge that in. Now that we have the top and we have our piece here, we want to do a Boolean. So if we go Boolean, select that, select this one, and now we have the whole, like so. And we can add a little bit more beveling, and then maybe transforming it a little bit less, something like that. So now instead of the Boolean being at the preset that it has, we're going to select, let's see, union, intersect, shatter. So we'll select shatter, and everything stays intact like so. So in our Boolean, we're selecting the A inside, so the inside part, and we're blasting it and inverting it. We'll do the same, and we'll just change that, and then we're gonna merge these two in. The only difference now is that for this one, we're gonna use a transform, and that transform is gonna move centroid to origin, move pivot to centroid. So what we're gonna do is a little bit of, hopefully there's no issues here. So I'll show you what we're gonna do. Disconnect this for now, connect it to this one. All right, so what we're gonna do is that we have this piece, but we want to also do so we have that piece, we want to size match it so it has the same settings as over here. Sorry, match size it. And then we're actually going to go back and copy 2 points that. So now we went back up. And now what we'll do is we'll merge this guy in here. So we have that there. And then we'll have a transform on here that we can now move in this axis here. So we'll merge this guy in there, and we'll merge that out. So now we have that part of the can that will open up when we open it. So 0 goes back, perfect. And then we just need to add the tab on there. So another thing that we can do is, let's go to the Boolean and actually put the outside as well. So we're gonna delete the inside and the outside, and then delete non-selected. And then we got that. So we'll delete the outside. We'll select the output primitive groups. We'll select A inside B and the outside. So for this one, we'll have the inside, and this one will be the outside, and then delete non-selected. Perfect. So now that we have this, we can delete. It's doing a copy to points. Do a size match, and we'll do minimum how we did last time. What we can do is transform the point instead. So if we move the point, then we can perfectly position where we want our opening to be. And I think that looks good to me. So instead of doing the transforming, so this is the transforming for the opening. So we'll do cap open rotation, and then this one is cap offset. And we could add parameters to that. That way, we can tweak it how we want. All right, let's save this. Now it's adding the other piece of geometry, and like we said, we have a good point here going on. So what we can do is do another copy the points, remove this, and we could do like a box, right? We'll do another merge in here. Scale this guy down, then we'll size match it and we'll put maximum. Now we're on the other side, and then we can flatten this out. Something like that. Do something like this. And then we'll duplicate this here. Or sorry, we'll copy reference it here. And now we have the piece for the top. So now that we know that this is going to be working just fine. So when I open this up, this is, whoops. This is what will happen. Boom, opens up, can goes, and then it opens up the can. So now we just need to create the correct shape for it. So we'll get in here, we'll grab some edges right here. Poly bevel, there you go. And then we want to do some booleans. So I want to do the same thing with the same shape. And we're going to merge. And we'll scale this down. We'll transform this. Something like that. Add a little bit more bevel. Okay. Transform it. Something like that. Then we'll duplicate this and merge it in here. And we just need to transform it the other way. So for this one, instead of selecting the two pieces, what we can do is, okay, this way, delete these two. Now we got this, and then we'll do a smaller bevel right here. So select these two edges, and we'll do bevel. We'll do bevel and then just a smaller bevel. So if we look at it now, it kind of looks like this, but we just need to make it something like this. Then we transform it. And then what we'll do, let's see, let's add a couple. Actually, let's leave it like this. And then right here, we're gonna select primitive right here and go to extrude. And this is not by any means the way to do modeling. You know, this is just my lazy, quick way of doing it. So now from here, I'll select edges. So I'll select this one, this one. Let's go into our wireframe. We'll do the bevels. There you go. Perfect. So now another thing we can do is on this extrusion is do some transformation. Let's see what we can find here. Transforms. So what I can do is select, let's go inside. So if we go to Boolean, we can change our view now here. Okay, so we'll go into select the primitive again. And then we could do a transform as well. So now we can see what we're doing here. So the poly bevel, we can just do less of it. Now we have that kind of section there. All right, and then now that we have this, we can go into, so like now we have the whole little cap, and we want to, so if we take a look at what this looks like, we can see what's happening there. And there's going to be a few tweaks that we need to do when we do this kind of effect. Because we want this piece in the middle to actually stick to that part there. All right. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to squish this just a little bit. So we'll do a transform and we're going to scale it down just a bit. And then let's see, we could do either a remesh or a quad. So let's do a remesh. Let's just see what that looks like. Nah, that's not gonna look good, I don't think. Quad, like we could do a quad remesh. Sorry, quad remesh. We do a quad remesh and smooth it. Let's see, what are the things we can get? Let's see, what else can we do? Maybe we can do a divide, delete the convex, and then add the bricker, start lowering. We could do something maybe like that, and let's go into the edges. Double click these edges, and then shift double click, shift double click, and then shift double click, shift double click, and then we could do another bevel. So maybe something like that, and then when we do the bevel in here, sorry, the divide, then we can do our bend. I mean, we're not going to do a bend like this. We're going to do a little bit different. So let's go into the side view, and we'll go and we'll do the bend first. We might need to switch it, but just so you know, I'm just going to show you real quick. This is kind of something we want, maybe a bend like this. Okay, this is the wrong side. So what we'll do is change the capture region. So instead of this one, it's going to be here. We'll do another capture region, and then right from this point, there you go. So we have that kind of bend part there. So if we take a look at what that looks like right now, we can see pretty cool. We're going to change the transform actually. So we have this transform going on right now, but we're going to change it with a different one. So what we're going to do is a soft transform instead. So we'll grab the soft transform, go in here, and then what we'll do first before that is we're going to select our group, grab some primitives here. All right, and then Shift G, and then create a group. And we'll call this cat tab. All right. And then, so now that we have this, we'll select our group. Let's see, points, cap tab. So we'll select the points. It's not primitive, so it's points. Let's get this straight here. Shift G, enter. And now we have our soft transform there. So we could do something like maybe right there. So what we'll do here is invert this. So how do we invert this group? Is there an invert group? Group invert. Let's select the other one. So we'll go invert tab. So now what we got is, so what we'll do is we'll move the pivot. So we'll press insert and we'll go to our top view, and we'll bring in our pivot. We'll go to another view in here. Let's see, what other view can we have? Let's just fix that pivot, lower that. Okay, so now if we do the transform, we can see what's happening there. So instead of doing that rotation right here, we're going to copy that parameter from the old cap, and we're going to use that for the transform here. So we'll paste relative references. Now we have that cap there. And if we take a look, now we could link this here, and then let's go and, all right, so we may need to offset the transform a bit. Let's see, let's offset it one more time. We'll do times 0.5 or 0.8 on the actual transform. But when we zero it out, it's actually going to be 0. I think I may need to spread the group a bit. So if we go back in here in our group, I may need to Shift G it a little bit more, enter, and then let's see. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is actually make it a little bit more squared, or actually we can push, we can square it off a little bit maybe. So let's see what we can do. Because we could also scale it, but I'm wondering what that's gonna look like if I scale it. So we'll do a little bit less. So we'll go into the transform again and do a 0.5. Okay, and then the other thing we can do is lift it up a little bit. So we can shift it like this, and then we can also translate it a little bit more. All right, so if we go back to our cap in here, we can lower the bevel just a bit, something like that. But what we'll do is instead of selecting those two, we'll duplicate it here. Select those two there. Oops. Those are the wrong two. So we'll select this one. So select this one and this one. Enter. Okay, there's something definitely fishy here. All right. The group is this one and this one. Perfect. And now we can do a little bit less of a bevel on that side. That way we could get some clearance in here. So I can start bringing it in until I feel like it's gonna touch there. Okay, and then now if we rotate, now if we put this back to 0, we have it like this. And then the transform, actually, we're gonna bring it to 0. So that should be fine there. So when we do bring it, boom. So when we do open it, that happens. Perfect. And then the other thing that I want to add before that was I feel like it was the bend. Okay. So for the band, what we're going to do is change the capture region, put it a little bit more delayed, something like that. So when we look at it now, there you go. So there is our can. The only part left is that little copy to points piece right there that we're going to add. So we'll do a tube. And we're also going to merge that inside here. Shift R. We got our tube. And that's not a point. We're going to grab this one here. Perfect. End caps. We're going to scale it down. And copy to the original, not the offsetted one here. There you go. Trying to see if I can actually add a transform without ruining everything. All right, let's just leave it like that. Let's delete these two. All right, so let's go back to our HDA. We're gonna go into the properties here and now the open cap. So for the open cap, we're gonna bring in the rotation here from right here. So we're gonna add a new float and we'll put open, right? And then what we'll have is negative 29 and 0. And then we're gonna apply that. We're gonna copy parameter, paste relative references, and now we have this open and closing. We could do negative 55. And then at the same time, actually, and then we'll do the bend as well. So we'll add in here and we'll put bend tab, and then we'll go into our bend, which is, where is it? Right here, and the amount is negative 26. So let's do 27, just to round it off. Copy parameter, and then paste relative references. So now I have this bend here. And then if I open it, bend, perfect. We'll save the node type, match current definition, and we're ready to do our defaults. So we'll make sure that our out node is here. Okay, and so the default height is going to be here. We'll do 0. No, not 0. Let's do something like that. We did 0 on these. We'll move this like that, something like that. All right. So I think this is okay. And I guess usually you want, so where the cap opens, I think you want the label to be in the front here. So what we can do is go to our UV texture and let's see UV, maybe a UV transform. Let's see. So instead of cylindrical, we do, so maybe what we can do is rotate the point or rotate the entire piece. So let's organize this. So maybe the body is not the part that goes in here. All right, so let's disconnect that. And what we'll do is add another merge at the very end. That is going to be the body part. And then what we'll do here is do the transform, not that. Transform, and we'll do 180. Okay, perfect. So that's what we'll do. We had to just separate the top. Save node type, and then we have the division. We'll go into 1. We'll have the division, and we have the bend. Now we have this whole. There's some really janky UVs here, so let's go ahead and fix that. Going back to our UV textures, let's go and delete the UV transform because we don't need that no more. And for our UV texture, I guess we can do vertex. And that's what it was. So vertex, I had put it to point and it kind of messed it all up. So we go to vertex and that fixes it. So save node type, match current definitions, allow editing of content. Again, perfect. So to make the defaults here, what we're going to do is right click here and go into type properties. We're going to go into each one of these and go into channels, and where it says default, that parameter we're going to tweak and change to all of these. So the first one's going to be 0.45. Second one here is going to be this one. So I'll just start copying, pasting. Shape top is 0. Shape bottom is 0. Move bottom. Right click, save node type, match current definition. And I think we're ready. So if we create a new one, so we'll put can. Oh, we have the thing open here. So we may want to close it. So let's delete this. Right now it's open. We'll put 0. So allow editing of contents. Type properties. Open. This would be 0. Accept. Okay. Save node type. Match current definitions. Now if we create a new one, can. Now it's closed. Perfect. So now let's take a look at this and import it into Solaris and see what happens or what it looks like. So we can go inside Solaris here and we go to scene import. Oh, another thing we could do, sorry, let's go back 1 second. And what we'll do here is, because we have a UV texture, so UV quick shade. So in the UV quick shade, in the right here, what we can do to preview label, we can go into, let's go back into our type properties and we can do image and we can do preview label, apply, accept. And then what I'll do is just I'll copy, paste that here, copy parameter, and then paste relative references. Let's go back into our type properties and bring this all the way up. Accept, save node type. All right, so now we have that file path up here that we can import our texture and preview it and see what it looks like with the geometry. So the other thing we can do here is now go into Solaris just real quick. Stop import, bring in our can, go dome light, do a merge real quick, add a grid as a floor, and let's preview this. There you go. And then when you import your objects, you can obviously import the groups, and then you have everything that was created in that asset. So then that way you can assign your materials. So material library, assign material. I can go in here and do a Karma material builder. We'll do an image, bring it into color, and then we'll update this and then assign. Let's go in here, open this up, go into our Solaris interface here. No, not layers. Solaris tree graph. Let's see. All right, so we got the can. They're working for us. And let's see what's happening here. So in the SOP import, we need to make sure that we import all of our groups. So now we can see our groups here. So now when I select the group, let's see. So I think it was called either mid body or something like that. So let's see, mid group. So that goes in there. We'll select our file. And now we have our can in there. So it looks like it's black and white because it might be the wrong type of image. Oh, and here. There you go. So now if we go and create an area light, So this will be the label. And then we can duplicate this and then just type in here metal, and we'll delete this from that. Make this like a different color. We'll update that there, add a new one. So now we can go into, let's see, let's add a new group. So for here, if this is going to be all metal, what we can do is do a group and type in full cap. Full cap metal. So now we can see full cap metal. We'll bring that in there, grab our metal, apply it. And we can get another light. Full cap metal, and then the bottom part we can add full cap metal, and then bottom group, I think it was called. I just want to make sure that this looks correct. So let's just add the other light just to do a quick light situation here. Yeah, so it's working. All right, so this is the end product. Hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll see you guys on the next video.